Okay, so another thing is that I opted for wippen heels that are 2 millimeters longer for the sharps than the naturals. And this mitigates the difference in geometry between the sharps and the naturals somewhat, because if you took the line from the balance hole of the key to the center pin of the wippen, and the intersection of that line with capstan and wippen heel at half travel is optimal. It splits the difference between before and after a tangential relationship, the tangent that would go between the two as they slide. So it reduces friction. But that line and the place where the capstan and the wippen heel intersected for a sharp is about 2 millimeters lower than it would be on its neighboring naturals. So having different height wippen heels for the sharps helps the overall regulation. So I put them all in order so that hopefully I don't mess up over here. I turn off the radio so that I can keep track of where I am and just note that something isn't out of place. Just to point out a couple of other things. Wippens often come, as do these W&G wippens, with heavier gauge springs in the bass, medium gauge in the middle tenor, and lighter gauge in the treble to accommodate the weight of the hammers they're going to be counteracting in their repetition levers. The W&G ones come marked with a different color, red, white, and blue. And when you lay them out on a tray like this, you can clearly see which is which. And of course you have to assemble, if you have the 2 millimeter longer wippen heels, you have to assemble them so that they're in the right order, as I said before. But there are plenty of things to get muddled about, and the action tray really helps to clarify where you are and what you're doing. When the old parts came off, I put the screws in order. This is an old wooden rail. An undersized screw and an oversized hole would mean a repair might be necessary. A strip screw would be very annoying. So if they're in the same order, they're going back into the same hole they came out of. And they travel along together, so pick up the screw, pick up the wippen, put it on, and I stay in order. Another thing to note here, perhaps although might be a little out of order, is the original wippens that came off here have go straight out from their wippen center, whereas the W&G, because they're molded, gain strength and lose weight by taking a lower trajectory. And this interferes with the rail that was designed to just take a straight wippen. And so I set it up at my table saw for an angle cut. I do a sample first. I need to do that sample anyway in order to test geometry. And I tend to overdo it in the sample a little just to make sure I have clearance. But in the end, I determine what is needed for a comfortable clearance that you might expect if the rail had been made this way. And then I take that same angle of cut, and in this case, I have an oak threshold hanging around that I cut a piece off of the straight edge with the same angle, gave me a little triangle. And I had 4 triangles to go on top of the rail so that the bracket screws could bear directly down. And just glue it in place. It's a little bit annoying because it's so small and it has to have a slot cut out of it, and it tends to crack. But it all glues back together, and yeah, it works quite elegantly, actually. Looks like maybe the rail was made this way. And please like, subscribe, or follow the link in the notes to my website.